Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be the final video that you guys will have to watch for algebra. So congratulations, we're almost done. And this is going to be one of the lessons. I think it was the Friday before the e-learning started. So pretty close to the end of our in-person classes. But we solved quadratics by factoring. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. Now we're going to do just the basic stuff today. So not as intense as it was in person. And so what we have different now is we were used to just factoring these quadratics, but now we have a quadratic set equal to 0. And you're asked to solve, okay? And so really what that means is, for instance, if you had 2x, I don't know, plus 1 equals 4, to solve for the variable, you want to find the number that you can plug in for the variable to make the statement true. And so you do that by solving, so it'd be 3 over 2, sorry. And so what we want is to find the values for the variable that we could plug in to make this right here equal to 0. Okay? And so we're going to do a method called solving by factoring. And so the first step is to factor. So we need to factor this right here. So we set up our template like we have been. We've been doing this past 3 days now, so hopefully it's getting in your guys' brain. It's going to have to be a z and a z. There's no number out front, so we don't need to slide. And so factors of 9 that add, factors of 9 that add to 10. So two numbers that multiply 9 add to 10. Notice they're both going to be positive. So 3 times 3 is 9, but 3 plus 3 is 6. But 9 and 1 will work. So 1 is 9, 1 is 1. And so now we've factored. And so if you remember, we talked about the zero product rule. That means if you have two things that you're multiplying to equal 0, you can set both of them equal 0. So we're going to set each factor, each set of parentheses, equals 0. So you got z plus 9 equals 0. And we got z plus 1 equals 0. And then the last step is to solve. So you have to solve each of these. So you got to get z by itself. So we're going to subtract 9 over here. So you got z equals 0 minus 9 is negative 9. Solve for z here. Subtract 1 from both sides. Z equals negative 1. And so those would be your roots. You just solve for z. If you plug these in for z, you would find that this left side equals 0. So you get 0 equals 0. If you don't believe me, you could try it. So we just found the roots or the zeros, and that's what it means to solve. So for today's homework, you do have to factor, and then you do have to solve. Okay, but I don't think there's any of the slide method for today, so I think this should be pretty easy to factor. So let's do a few more. So again, we're solving quadratics. You have quadratics that equal 0. So we got factor. So again, there's no number out front, so we know it's going to be an m and an m. This right here, the negative sign, tells us that one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. And so we need one positive, one negative value that multiply to 48 and add to 2. Okay, so again, we can do some trial and error. Let's see, two numbers I can think of. 4 goes into 48 12 times. There's no way we could add or subtract 4 and 12 to equal 2 though. Okay, 48 divided by 8. 8 goes into 48 6 times. So if you think about it, you could have a positive 8 and a negative 6. Please note you can't have a negative 8 and a positive 6 because negative 8 plus 6 would be negative 2. We need a positive 2. So it's going to be a positive 8 and a negative 6. So we just factored this guy, and that equals 0. So now we're going to use the zero product rule. We're going to set each factor equal to 0. And then you solve. So subtract 8 from both sides. M equals negative 8. Add 6 to both sides. m equals 6. And there you have it. Okay, let's do this again. Good factoring practice. Again, no slide is required, but we know it's going to be a K and a K. This tells us that one sign is going to be positive, one sign is going to be negative. So we need factors of -10, add to be +3. Hopefully that one's a little easier. A +5 and a -2. 5 times -2 is -10. 5 plus -2 is 3. So then you set each factor equal to 0. And then we need to solve. So subtract 5 from both sides. K equals -5. Add 2 to both sides. K equals 2. And there would be your two answers. Let's do one final one. Oh, this one's too easy. Start by factoring. This tells us that they're both going to be positive. No slide is required, so I'm going to write my m's down. Factors of 50. Two numbers that multiply 50, add to 15. 5 and 10. So then you just set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So let's subtract 5 from both sides. M equals -5. Subtract 10 from both sides. M equals -10. And there you have it. So that will be the final video. Hopefully this isn't terribly difficult for you guys. Make sure we turn this in. You will have a small little assignment on Monday. And then we're basically done with the year. So with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys Monday.